are symmetrical, which means they are exactly the same. There is a problem. If you wanted to create a quadratic equation with a table, you need to have you need to know what each letter represents. That's it. This is the concept that I want you to know. Wow, I see the word is means equal. Hello SAT kids. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 quadratic concepts that you need to know if you're preparing for digital SAT math section or wanting to get a higher score from that section, since the quadratics is one of the most repetitive question types in the digital SAT math section. Knowing it is concept will gonna help you to crush your exam. Before we begin the video, let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is Shahbaz John and I have taken the SATs 3 times so far, and my best score for the math section is 790, which I took in October. So let's get started. Let's continue our lesson. I assume that you know what's a quadratics. If you do not, please watch some videos to get the basic idea of it. But anyway, I'm going to continue the lesson. The first thing that you need to know about the quadratics is you need to know graphically when they're going to have 1 solution, no solution, and 2 solution. Let's read the question first, and I'm going to explain that concept while I solve this question. In a given equation, k is a positive constant. The equation has exactly 1 real solution. What is the value of k? Okay, the question is basically asking about the value of k when the equation has gonna have 1 real solution. Since I said that graphically it is much better to solve with Desmos instead of just solving it by hand, so I'm gonna just go ahead to the Desmos and I just write it down the equation. And the first thing that you need to know is the quadratics is gonna have no solution graphically when they never cross the x-axis. What I mean by this is, you can see I'm sliding in, as you can see at k equals 10, this graph is not crossing the x-axis, which means at that value there is no real solution. Okay? In no solution, the quadratics graphically they're gonna never crosses the x-axis. Okay, what about the 1 solution? How it gonna look like in graphically? I'm gonna just write the negative 100 to positive 100 so that it can give me more range. And I wanted to slide a little bit and to show when it's gonna have 1 solution. As you can see at okay, k equals to 12, as you can see, this graph is crossing the x-axis at 1 point, which means it has 1 solution. So graphically, the quadratics is going to have 1 solution when they're going to cross the x-axis only 1 time. Now it's in the 12. Okay, let's see when the quadratic is going to have 2 solutions graphically. And if we slide it a little bit, and if we put it something like, let's say 13, as you can see, the graph is crossing the x-axis 2 times, which means it has 2 real solutions. This is all about it. They're gonna have no solution when they never cross the x-axis. They're gonna have 1 solution when they're gonna cross the x-axis only 1 time, and they're gonna have 2 solutions when they're gonna cross the x-axis 2 times. So the answer for the question, by the way, is 12, because at that point the equation has 1 solution. It crosses the x-axis only 1 time. though the question is gonna ask either 2 real solutions or 1 or no, but basically you know when they're gonna have 1 or 2 or no solution. So this is the first concept that you need to know. Second concept is quadratics are symmetrical. Let me show you what I mean by quadratics are symmetrical. Let's draw some random quadratic graph, something like this. And if you analyze the graph, from that point it's going down, 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 and at that point it changes direction, and now it's going up, 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 up. And if you look at graph, our parabola, our graph, split into 2 different lines, this line and this line. Okay, in the first place, what does a symmetric mean in the mathematics? In mathematics, symmetric means if you cut some kind of shape from just right in the middle, 2 separate, 2 divided shapes, they're going to be exactly the same shape. Let me show you one example. For example, let's take an example of square, and if you just cut it from right in the middle, these 2 divided parts, they are exactly the same shape, which means if you just flip the one side and put it on the other side, they're going to be perfectly flat because they are symmetrical, which means they are exactly the same shape. And this is the same analogy with the quadratics. Let's imagine this is the cutting point, just right in the middle. That's why it's a vertex. And these 2 lines are exactly the same lines but with a different direction. But they're exactly the same lines. I hope you got the concept, and now let me show you one example where knowing the quadratics are symmetrical will gonna help us to solve it. Let's read the question very, very quickly. Quadratic function models the height in feet of an object above the ground in terms of the time in seconds after the object was launched according to the model, and the object was launched from the height of 0 feet and reached its maximum height of the 1,600 feet 10 seconds after it was launched. Based on the model, what was the height in feet of the object 15 seconds after it was launched? I hope you read the question. I'm gonna just speed up. So we understand it. It was a long and complicated word problem question, but let's just convert it to the easy mathematical problem. And what we need to find is, firstly, let's try to get some points, because they are saying some points. They are saying that when the time is equal 0, when it was launched, the height is also 0. This is our first point. And then they are saying that at the t equals to 10, after 10 seconds, the maximum height, this y value is equals to 1,600. Okay, and they're asking about us the height of it when it was in the 15 seconds. And if we wanted to find it by solving this hand, we need to use a vertex formula and put all of them up and adding all the weird stuff. So now I'm gonna show you how to solve it with Desmos. Okay, let's just go to Desmos, and I'm gonna just create a table so that I can put my values on, and my values are 0, 0, and 10, and 1,600. Okay, if I wanted to create a regression, I'm going to create just press this button, regression, and I do not need linear regression, I need a quadratics regression. And if you just look at this, Desmos is gonna give you some kind of the equation like this. But there is a problem. If you wanted to create a quadratic equation with a table, you need to have at least 3 points, but we only have the 2, right? We have only 2 points, which means we cannot create a quadratic graph with this table, and we need another point. But how we're gonna find it? The question didn't give any other point. How we are gonna find it? That's a good question. And I said the quadratics are symmetrical. Just imagine I draw some point, and since it's saying the the maximum, I'm gonna open it like a downward, something like this. Okay. And remember, they are symmetrical. If it begins from right there, let's say, and if it takes the 10 seconds to reach its maximum to that point, it's gonna take the same amount of time to land again, to cross the x-axis again, right? Because these two lines are symmetrical. If it takes 10 seconds to its maximum, again it's gonna take 10 seconds to land the ground again. Which means we found our third point, which are after 10 seconds it's gonna be 20, and after that 10 seconds at the 20, the height is gonna be equal to 0 because it's gonna be on the ground. And now we have our equation. There you have it. We got this. And they're gonna ask us the height of it when the time is equal to 15. I'm gonna just put 15 multiplied by 15, and you're gonna just put the 15 to the x-axis, and there you have it. There you go. The answer is 1200. As you can see, knowing that the quadratics are symmetrical will gonna help us actually a lot in this type of question where they're gonna give only the starting point and the vertex, and they're gonna ask some random points. Yes, you can solve it by hand, but knowing this and solving this Desmos is gonna help you a lot, and you can just solve it in just 20 seconds. You got your points, and you know that it's asymmetrical. If you're taking the 10 seconds to reach maximum, it's gonna take the same amount of the time to reach the ground. So after 20 seconds, it's gonna become 0, and the answer is 120. That's it. That's the second concept that you need to know. The last but not least thing you need to know about quadratics is you need to know what each letter represents in quadratics. I'm gonna write a standard quadratic form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, some constant. Okay, in this standard form, the sum of its solutions, x1 plus x2, is equal to negative b over a. And the product of its solutions, x1 plus x2, is equal to c over a. That's it. This is the concept that I want you to know. You need to know what each letter represents. The sum of its solution is gonna be equal to negative b over a, and the sum product of its solution is gonna be equal to c over a. Let's solve one question. Let's read the question. In a given equation, r and s are positive constants. The product, I see the product, which means they are talking about this. And the c is this, which doesn't have the x on it, over a, which is 33. This a, whatever in front of the x squared. And their thing is, wow, I see the word is. If you watched my previous videos, you probably know what the is represents. Yeah, is means equal. Key rs. And this rs, they're gonna be reduced, and 1 over 33 equal to k. There you go. we found the answer, and the k is equals to 1 over 33. Yeah, that's a concept that I want you to know. You know, the sum of its solutions equal to negative b over a, and its product of its solution is going to be equal to c over a. In this question, they asked about the product of it. In the other questions, they're going to ask, you know, sum of its equation, which in which case you're going to use this part, you know, divided by negative, and you're going to make it negative and divide it by 33 and just solve it. But you need to remember that concept and just use it for the following question. I really recommend you to find more question like that and put more practice on it and make it master so that you can solve it whenever you want it. I hope you got these 3 concepts in your mind, and I highly recommend you to solve more questions to become master on the quadratic, since it's one of the most repetitive question types on a digital SAT math section. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and get something out of it. If you did so, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you have any questions, just leave in the comments and I will do my best to answer all of the questions. Just a quick reminder, in my last 2 SAT related videos, I have talked about the 3 different question types that are hard to solve with Desmos, and one mathematical knowledge that you need to know in SAT word problems. If you are interested in watching those videos, please just go ahead and find it in a channel page, or you can just click the video right there, or I'm gonna leave a link to both of the videos in the comment section below, and just feel free to watch it. So see you next time.